And welcome back to Hannity. Chicago remains on edge. Protesters taking to the streets for a second night as the demonstrations continue to grow. And yesterday, a white police officer was charged with first-degree murder for the 2014 shooting of a black teen. But tonight, many protesters are wondering why the indictment took so long. Joining me now for the latest on the ground is Mike Tobin. Mike?
Well, David, the demonstration that ended here at District 1 headquarters in the south of Chicago's business district has wrapped up. But another one has just popped up about 8 blocks from here. A lot of what we have been seeing is consistent with what we've seen all night long. The demonstrators taking to the streets, marching down the middle of the street. They'll block intersections for a while. They're chanting 16 shots, reference to the 16 shots that were captured on that dash cam video that's at the center of these demonstrations. They covered a lot of ground today. One reporter's Fitbit said they covered about 7.1 miles. They were all over the business district known as Chicago's Loop. They went into the high-end shopping area known as the Magnificent Mile. They blocked the Michigan Avenue Bridge. They sat in Michigan Avenue in front of the water tower place where you have most of the expensive shops. There was a dust-up with police at one point when the demonstrators were marching west out of the Loop. It looked like they were trying to gain access to the Kennedy Expressway. There, police drew a line. They wouldn't let the protesters continue, and so you started with a lot of the pushing and the shoving, the cursing at police officers. We know of at least one person who was arrested, at least according to his parents. They say he's being processed here at District 1 and due to be released at some point, but police aren't confirming any numbers of how many people were arrested during that particular dust-up. But the cold November rain has done a lot of work for the police in terms of thinning the numbers. But you still had people out here on the street demanding that Anita Alvarez, the state's attorney, be removed from this case. They're calling for the resignation or firing of Police Superintendent Gary McCarthy, primarily because it took over a year to bring charges in this case, and a lot of them are demanding a meeting with Mayor Rahm Emanuel. If they don't get that meeting, they're threatening to shut down Black Friday shopping. David?
Mike, they're also calling for the resignation of the police chief. Some are. Do you see any support for the police officer on the ground?
The only support I have heard for that particular police officer is coming from his attorney, Daniel Herbert. Daniel Herbert says that anyone watching this tape from the comfort of their couch doesn't have the same perspective as a police officer making a split-second life and death decision. For the most part, anyone else who has witnessed that videotape, as so many people now have come to the conclusion that this young man, McDonald, was walking away from the police officers at the time the first shot was fired, and the subsequent shots, the second shot may have been while he was still up, but all the final 14 shots were done while he was discharged when he was on the ground. You don't have a lot of people justifying the actions of this particular police officer, all the way up to the state's attorney, hence the charges.
Mike Tobin in Chicago. Thank you, Mike.
You got it.
Joining us now with reaction, CRN KRLA radio host Larry Elder, former NYPD detective Bo Dietl, trial attorney Eric Guster, and Fox News contributor DeRoy Murdoch. Good evening, gentlemen. First, let me go out to you, Larry. I have a basic question, and then we'll bring it back to the panel here in the studio. Why do these releases at night? We saw what played out in Ferguson. Larry, you've seen L.A. burn. Why do these at night? Is there a political narrative?
That's a good question. I don't know why they do them at night. I think in this case, as you might recall, the judge ordered the videotape to be released, and the state wanted to get ahead of that by bringing the charges, or at least making the charges publicly known. But the point is this. This officer has been arrested. The officer has been tried, is going to be charged with first-degree murder. The top prosecutor is a Latina. There's a dual investigation conducted by the DOJ that's headed up by a black female, the second consecutive black attorney general. This is not your grandfather's country. This is not your grandfather's Chicago. And we should have some perspective. This year, about 6 people have been killed by the police. 4 years ago, 2011, there were 21 people that were killed by the police. Police shootings are down nationwide. Over the last 30 or 40 years, David, the police shootings against blacks are down 75%. And Chicago is on track for 400 homicides, most of those by and against black people, and the majority of those are unsolved. So Chicago has a lot of problems, but I would not put racist cops shooting black people at the top of that list.
All right, Eric Guster here in the studio. You say that this officer should have been charged within days of this shooting. There's been a conspiracy to protect him. The numbers, Larry just said, they belied the overarching narrative. But let's deal with this one case. Why should he have been charged? How would you have charged him?
This is clearly a conspiracy. He should have been charged last October.
Who's conspiracy? Who's the conspirator?
The police officers. The police officers actually went to a Burger King restaurant and erased tape. They held onto this for over a year, and only when a judge ordered this tape to be released did the charges happen.
Okay,
that clearly shows
it's a mayoral agency, right? Rahm Emanuel's in charge. So let me ask that. Why didn't Rahm Emanuel pressure them?
And that's one of the problems. It starts at the top, from the mayor's office to the police chief and commissioners. This case should have been charged within days of anyone in the prosecutor's office seeing that tape.
Bo, I don't like to make judgments. I believe in the process. You know that.
Yeah.
Good shoot, bad shoot, not determined until a court of law weighs in.
I mean, we all agree.
16 shots on the ground?
I saw the raw footage. I'm not going to sit here as an ex-detective and stick up for what I saw. My problem, again, is not just Chicago, with the 400-plus people being killed and another 800 people shot, and what's going on in all our inner cities, in Baltimore, in Washington, the same Democratic leadership. All they do, when you get a Rahm Emanuel say, telling the gangs, take it to the alleyways. This is the environment that was there. This is the environment that occurred. What was in this cop's mind, I don't know. But the environment that's been set up, letting this violence continue. And you know what? Eric wants to stick up for things. He should be sticking up for those young kids that are dying across our inner
The ones who are being victimized by Chicago PD.
Everybody's being killed by cops.
Hang on
And
a second.
obviously there's more than one cop, because they're trying to hide
every cop is out there killing people.
Try to make this point.
All right, DeRoy Murdoch. We got to keep calm here. We got 4 voices. Go ahead, DeRoy.
Yeah, I'll make this point. Look, I think this is an egregious case. This kid getting shot 16 times rather than just being told, okay, why don't you drop the knife and so on. But I'd love to see the same level of passion about this poor little kid, Tyshawn Lee, a few weeks ago, who was shot in the face, I think, multiple times. A 9-year-old boy sent down an alleyway and killed, basically as retaliation because apparently his father is involved in a gang. You don't see a huge amount of demonstrations, the national teaching moment that you get in a case like this.